Welcome back. Today I'm going to take a look at a rapid game that I played yesterday. I played it off camera, as I have been a lot recently, and I hope to learn a few lessons from this game. That's the point of analyzing it, going through it with or without the engine. But I already know one lesson from this game, and that is that Black should not have resigned in this position. If you're not familiar with my channel, I'm not a titled player or chess coach. I'm just a random person who enjoys chess, and I'm trying to get better at it. In this game, just on the face of it, it looks like White is ahead in this position. White has a ton more space, all those pawns across the center line. There's that really annoying bishop there on g6. Every piece that I can see in White's position is protected. It looks like the only downside is that the king is kind of loose, but you can't really get to it. Sure, you can check a couple of places here, but either one of those could be easily blocked. Both of them could be blocked with the queen for that matter. Either here if you check on a3, or here if you check on c3. And in both cases, the queen would be protected by the knight, and over here it would be protected by the rook as well. But Black has a winning move here, and neither me nor my opponent saw it. And if you want to pause for just a second, feel free to try to figure out what it is. I'm sure some of you either have already seen it or will see it quickly. I'll give you just a couple of seconds if you actually want to do that. But the answer is taking the free knight. Now, if you don't see a free knight on the board, that's okay. Again, neither me nor my opponent saw the free knight. This knight here is free, apparently. Even after Stockfish told me that, it took me a while to figure it out. If you take here, it just looks like White's going to take back with the queen, correct? But if White takes back with the queen, which would not be White's best move at that moment, Black's going to take this pawn right here with check, and then win the queen for free. Well, not for free, but Black would be up a knight at that point. And Black's already up 2 pawns. Now, I have intentionally flipped the board before I started this video because I was the one playing with the white pieces, and I won this game because my opponent abandoned. Earlier I said resigned, but that's because here on the analysis board it says they resigned, but in the actual game board it says that they abandoned, and I remember them abandoning. I remember watching the countdown, and then it said they abandoned. So either way, that's one lesson to learn from this game, is just because it looks like you're down, don't assume that you are. Black actually had another move that would have been winning besides taking this knight. That of course is their best move. And it says if Black had played that, my best move would have been to take this pawn with check. I honestly, playing with the white pieces, I honestly didn't see that the rook was pointed at an undefended pawn. I was really, concerned about what I was doing over here on the king's side. And I wasn't sure that it was working, but I knew I was playing more aggressively than normal. But it says Black can also play knight b to d7, which is here, and they're still winning. I guess that would block this possible check here. But yeah, definitely their best move is taking here. Now, a move earlier, they weren't that far ahead. Here, we're still between +1 and -1. But anyway, the one lesson to learn from the game is at our level, you don't need to resign. You probably saw the word resign pop up there for just a second. But again, in the other interface, it says that they abandoned, and abandoning is what I remember. Either way, they left the game and lost because they didn't take up some of their 6 minutes to look around for something, like the fact that if I take back here with this queen, then they'll have the fork. I'm going to go back and see where I went wrong and, try to figure out if I can learn any other lessons from this game. I opened with e4, and I usually play the Vienna, which is why this arrow is here, because I had just said this once before but messed it up, and this is my second take. Anyway, my opponent responded with e5, which allows me to play the Vienna, but I had just lost 3 or 4 games in a row on this site, and just as many, if not more, on the other site. And I was really frustrated, so I just kind of lashed out as much as one can lash out in an online chess game, and I played h4. You can see the eval bar dropped quite a bit there, because that's not a great move. Sometimes it's a great move, but it's not a great move now. I just decided to play something strange and off the wall because I was frustrated with losing. The better solution would have been to not play a game for a little while, until I got over that. But anyway, that's what I did. I played a lot more aggressively than normal. I don't know why my opponent put their queen there, and I just decided to go for that center pawn, so I played c3 with the hopes of playing d4. My opponent's best move now is to move the queen over there for some reason, but they didn't play that. They played like they thought maybe they could get a scholar's mate against me, which is a little funny. I wonder how often that works. It has to have worked enough times that they keep trying it. Or maybe this was their 3rd or 4th chess game in their entire life, and that's all they know so far. I don't know. I run into a lot of beginners that are just as good as me for some reason, even though I've been studying for quite some time. Anyway, I didn't want them to checkmate me immediately, so I blocked that bishop, which is the move I was preparing anyway. Now, I honestly expected them to take it because they have 3 attackers on that square, and I only have 2 defenders. I didn't actually count until after I played that, but my opponent didn't count at all, and they just ran back with their bishop, which gives me an advantage if I'll play knight to e2 or knight to f3. I did not play either of those. I just kept pushing the pawn, which took away what little advantage I had. I thought that was a good move because now where's that bishop going? I mean, I guess it could go back to where it was, which is actually their best move, and it's what they did. So I should have thought of that before I pushed that pawn forward. Playing knight to f3 or knight to e2, either one would have defended the pawn where it was, but moving it didn't defend that square anymore. So now, again, they're threatening Scholar's Mate down here on f2. So I need to play knight to f3 or queen to c2, which would defend that square, but I didn't. I just put my bishop there, which was bad. They should take it. And yes, I can tell just by looking at this game that it's one of the worst games that I've played in a while. I'm honestly surprised that they didn't take it. I thought they were going to take it and I was going to take this, but then they don't have the Scholar's Mate anymore because their bishop's gone. So I thought maybe I would be able to get this knight out and castle over there or something, but they didn't take it. They moved their queen over here to go this way, I guess. My best move is to take the bishop, so I did. And I mean, I figured that one out because I could see that they had two attackers lined up there, but now my best move is to get a knight out. Either knight to d2, which is here, or if I don't want to play that, I could play knight to d2. And yes, they're still having this little problem. These lines are not identical. The second move is different, g4 versus f3, and then, therefore the third move is different, and so on. But the first move shouldn't be the same on two separate lines because I'm looking at this to see what I should have played, not to see two lines of what I might expect 5 moves from now. But anyway, knight to d2 is what I should have played. I played c4. This is defended by the bishop. I thought, hey, let's all defend this. And maybe I'll get the knight out behind it. Something about that worried my opponent. They moved their queen back. I'm assuming they were aiming at this pawn. My best move is just to defend it with queen to d2, or again, if I don't want to play that, queen to d2. This time those two lines are identical, but that's what I should have played. I just thought it wasn't important to protect that pawn, and I just got this bishop out thinking, I'll castle here before long, or something like that. It's my opponent's best move to take it, and they did. So you can see I'm making mistakes left and right here. I haven't, wasted my only game review of the day for this game, but you can tell by how much the eval bar drops that was at least a mistake for me to let them have that. Well, now I played knight to d2, so they don't get my rook. They're supposed to get another piece out at this point, which is, as you can see, what I was trying to do. I've just gotten a knight out, which I kind of had to, but I got the bishop out before that. I'm hoping to get this knight out at some point because you can't win if you don't get any pieces out. At least, I don't think I've ever won without getting any pieces out. My opponent had got their queen out and their bishop out and then lost their bishop, and now they're just moving their queen around. And that's what they did here. They moved the queen back. Not sure what they were worried about, but they, or maybe they just wanted to pin the knight because they saw that I put it there. I have no idea why the computer is saying c5 is my best move. Right now my c-pawn is defended, is it not? It's defended by the bishop. It's not technically defended by the knight while the knight is pinned, but, if they were to take it with the queen because they didn't see the bishop, and I also didn't see the bishop, then the knight is defending that pawn. So I don't know why I would want to undefend it by moving it forward, but that's what the engine suggests. Why wouldn't they take it now that it's a free pawn? Because they're clearly intent on just using their queen, and I gave them a free pawn. Why would it be bad if they took it? It says I would hurry over here and attack their queen, and then they would get out of the way. Okay, yeah, so I don't know why I would just give them that pawn. But anyway, in this position, I doubled down on my second move. My second move, if you remember, was h4. I played g4. I'm heading down there. That's what these pawns are for, right? I thought, who knows? Maybe in a little bit I'll play this f pawn. I probably want to put the knight over here on h3 first to defend that square, but let's just play all the pawns. And I thought they might try to attack that with their bishop, but my bishop is defending it. Of course, my bishop's also defending that pawn. I can only defend one at a time with it, but that's where we are right now. Again, my opponent is supposed to get a piece out or possibly move their queen again as their second best move. They didn't get a piece out. They prepared to attack the pawn that is defended. Well, now I'm surprised. I played the best move on this one. I'm supposed to attack their queen with the rook, and I did. I think I did that because I saw that they had blocked their path back that way, so they only have a couple of places. But I mean, they have a couple of places, right? I'm not sure why one's a ton worse than the other one. I mean, it says c5 is a lot worse, and that's because if they go to c5, I'm going to bring my rook up here, but it's not trapped. It's just going to come in here to d4, and then I'm going to attack it here with my other knight, and then it's going to go into c3. Wow, I'm going to chase that queen around the pawn, even though I know I can get out. Maybe if that line keeps going, I'll eventually catch it, but then it would be more than 1.9, right? I don't know. But they picked the best move, which was a5, and I'm still supposed to go after it. Oh, I didn't know. I thought it would just get out of the way. It says they would go to a6. I mean, I do like to chase opponents' queens. I don't know that they would have gone to a6. They might have taken this pawn. They were really interested in the other one. If I go chasing after them now, and also I'm assuming that that's why they moved to that file, is because there's an undefended pawn over here. So if I went up there to threaten them, they would probably just take the pawn, which they're going to do anyway. So it would be a wasted move for me. So I don't understand why that's my best move. Anyway, I did the thing I mentioned earlier, which was trying to defend this square in case I wanted to push this pawn at some point. But now it says they're ahead. If they'll get a knight out, they didn't get a knight out. They took the pawn that I thought they were going to take. It may come as a surprise to none of you, but f4 is not my best move. But that's the reason I put the knight there. And I told you from the beginning, from move 2, I made it apparent I'm trying to play differently, more aggressively. I'm avalanching this king. Black's best move is to move the queen back to where it just was the turn before, and they did that. I'm honestly surprised. It wasn't in danger here, was it? Maybe it was. See, I don't think the queen was in danger, so I don't know why that's their best move either. My best move is to move the queen over 1. Again, not sure why. That pawn is already defended in multiple ways. But since they didn't take my f-pawn, I kept going with it. And now I don't have to worry about this bishop anymore. And I have 2 pawns across the center line, both of which, are guarding squares over there on the other side of the board. I have a knight guarding 1 square on the other side of the board. I have a rook guarding 2 squares on the other side of the board. I'm actually feeling pretty good about my space here and the fact that my opponent hasn't moved any pieces yet. The only piece I haven't moved is, my rook, my big ones. It is my opponent's best move to get a piece out. They didn't. They played this f-pawn. Actually, I am surprised that I played my best move here. It was g5, and that's what I played because that was my plan. Going forward, I'm going to chip away at that stuff, and now I have a diagonal open here, depending on what they play. Again, they're supposed to get a piece out. The same one, knight to d7. They didn't. They threw that forward. I really wanted to take this with en passant. I really did, but I'm proud of myself for not doing it. I think the reason I decided not to do it is because this didn't help them, I don't think. It looked a little bit like they were planning on bringing this bishop out and maybe coming, this way because my queen doesn't have a lot of space to run to. But I mean, I could just move it over, or I couldn't block with the knight because of, where the king is, but I could just move the queen over. I don't know why, but my best move is rook to b3. Oh, is that because I'm supposed to rotate it over here? I am. It says rook to b3. Then they're going to play queen to c7. They're going to run away with their queen, and I'm going to rotate it over here. Oh, wow. I didn't even think of that. I wonder if they would have played queen to c7 had I done that. I got it in my head that I wanted this knight to be able to move because right now it could defend both of those pawns if it wasn't pinned. So I moved my king over. Not just straight over, obviously. I went forward a little bit. Thought maybe they might try to sneak in this way or something because they could have checked me from over there if they'd had 2 turns. But now they can't because now my king is guarding all of those squares right, on the 3rd rank there. My opponent is still supposed to play queen to c7. My guess is that because that helps guard, that whole 7th rank back there. But they didn't. They played h6. Okay. Now see, now that Stockfish has kind of seen what I've been working on here and that my opponent's not responding correctly to it, it's starting to get on board. It says bishop to h5 check is my best move. That's what I played. I played that because if they block with the pawn, which is the only thing they can block with, I can just take it, or they can move the king. It is their best move to move the king, and they did. And now I can start chipping away at stuff in there. I did. But that wasn't the way. The way was to take this pawn. Oh, wow. Why? It says they would take back with their knight, and maybe they would, or maybe they would take with the rook. I don't know which one would be better. I think if I was them, I probably would have taken with the rook, if white took here and I was playing with the black pieces, because then I'm pointed at this undefended bishop. But either way, if I take there, that kind of helps them get a piece out. And they so far have failed to get any pieces out. I didn't want to remind them of that. Obviously, they can get a piece out if I attack over there too, but that one went toward their king. That's why I chose that way. But that wasn't good. I don't know why. So this gave my opponent a -1 advantage if they take back with the knight, which, I kind of figured that they would, but now I can put my bishop in there. It says not to. It says to bring it back. I wanted to go in there. I just thought that would be awesome to have my bishop right there. And then I could push this pawn up behind it, and they wouldn't be able to get rid of that. That wasn't good. Okay. Why is bringing the bishop back better? That was a lot of B's. Bringing the bishop back is better because... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why bringing the bishop back is better. Maybe because it helps defend that pawn. They're aiming at it. Maybe they can come over here and attack this pawn, and then if I try to take it, then I don't have a knight defending that pawn. Maybe that's it. Okay, that's what I'm going with. Bringing the bishop back is better because it helps protect this pawn, so the knight is not doing double duty, protecting both of those pawns. I don't know if I solved it or not, but maybe one of you can help. But I went forward because that's what I wanted to do, but that's bad because they can take here. Oh, I just looked at the end of the game earlier. I didn't realize they had this move, several moves earlier. I just gave up that knight because, again, it's a free knight. Because if I take back, which the engine actually says I would take back, when I take back, they're going to fork. But this way, I actually get their knight back. In the position later in the game, I wouldn't have gotten their knight back. They would have gotten that queen and their knight would have got away. But here it says that is their best move. My opponent did not see that here. They saw what I was working on down there, and they thought a good way to counteract that would be to check me. So they checked me. That lost most of their advantage. I need to either go to e2 or go toward their knight. Well, as you can see from the way I've played the rest of this game, I was feeling a little bit more aggressive than normal. Normally, I'm very placid and looking to my own defense when I play chess. It doesn't always work, but that's normally my chess personality is how can I stop what they're doing? How can I get in their way? But in this game, I was playing, trying to see what I can do to them. It was different. So I went toward that knight. It has to go away now, back to where it was. They're still ahead. My best move is knight to f2. Well, good. I played knight to f2. The reason that I played knight to f2 is because I wanted to put my knight in here and trade for their knight. I don't know if that's why Stockfish wants to do it. It says it would have been just as good to move my king back one. Oh, because my king is in line with this check here, which they're going to do a little bit later if they had seen it instead of leaving the game. But I did play knight to f2 because, again, I want to come in here and threaten that knight. Oh, Stockfish wanted me to put it there to protect that pawn. The same reason that it wanted the bishop back here. Okay, so I did learn a second lesson from this game. If you remember, the first one is don't resign when you're around the 1200 level. The opponent might not be ahead. Especially don't resign when you haven't gotten all your pieces out yet. The engine still wants their queen back here on c7, or again, it's been suggesting knight to a6. Several of those times when I said get a piece out, it was saying knight to a6. It's not saying knight to d2 this time, or d7 I mean. But yeah, get the knight out. Put the queen over here to help guard this home front. They did get a piece out. They got the bishop out, which wasn't horrible. And here, I think it was fairly obvious. Well, I mean, there was only one square they could get it out, but I think it was obvious they were coming around to try to trade off for my bishop. Now, I'm supposed to play rook to a1 and threaten their queen. If I did that, it says they would go all the way back, not to c7. Well, then why did it keep telling them to go to c7 if they're supposed to be on d8? I don't know. I went ahead with my plan of pushing pawns forward on the king side and thinking, they would probably put this bishop in here. And right here, the engine actually wants them to do this to aim at my queen, which is what I thought they were going to do earlier. But now, not only could I still get out to c1 like I could earlier, but now I have a bunch of other ways to get out. But it says that's what they should do. Bishop to a4 or knight to a6 again. They didn't. They did the thing that I expected, which is to go here. They still have a very slight advantage, even if I play my best move, which is to take this pawn with check, and then they would block with the knight, and then I would come threaten their queen. Wait, because the bishop wouldn't be pointed at that square anymore because the knight would have gotten in the way. So they would have to run away with their queen, which they would come down here, and then I would bring the rook back to b1. Wait, why? So I just wanted their queen to move over here and I wanted to help them get a knight out? That's what Stockfish wants to do. I would pick up a pawn along the way. I get that. I would pick up a pawn along the way, but I would help them get a piece out that they've been forgetting to get out. Then I would put their queen, I would force them to put their queen down here for some reason, and then I would return to b1. Alternatively, I could put my king up here to, I guess, protect this pawn that's already pretty well protected and is about to move anyway because they're going to take my bishop. But instead of letting them take my bishop, I jumped in here. And see, you said resign again. Why does that keep popping up? So when I hopped this knight in here, I thought they were going to take, and I was going to take back. And then I thought they were going to take this bishop, and I was going to take back. And yes, that gives them a passed pawn, but I've got a rook in front of it. But none of that matters that much. The problem is where my king is in relation to the e-pawn and where their knight is in relation to the e-pawn. So this is a free knight, as we discussed at the beginning. Well, it was a fun game. I am strongly considering when I have the mental energy to try to play something like this again. It was a little wild and crazy. I was just shooting those pawns forward and I think scaring them a little bit, maybe. I don't like to play that way. I don't like to be that way in real life either. Hopefully you can tell that about me. But I know that it is difficult sometimes to tell what someone is really like from their online persona, which I don't know what I'm presenting here. I'm trying to be real. Anyway, this was kind of a new experience for me. I think I've done it a few times in the past, but yeah, don't resign, take this. And then the other lesson that I definitely learned from all of those moves earlier, that putting the knight on f2 or bringing the bishop back here, was because my knight was doing double duty protecting those pawns. And if I'm going to leave my king within, hitting distance of that pawn, then I need something here to protect it. Hopefully you got something out of this. It was fun for me to play. I'm glad I won, and I think I learned some things here, especially the surprise that as soon as the game ended and I looked at the analysis board and saw that they should have taken that knight out. I did a double take, and then I decided to make a video out of it. Anyway, I will see you next time. Please stick around. I'm going to have more chess coming up in the future. Puzzles and games and other chess things.